morning and welcome to the Chrissy B Show. And on today's topic, we're going to actually be speaking about how to land your dream job. Now, sometimes people don't get the job that they want for a number of reasons. It could be due to their lack of qualifications. Sometimes they have the qualifications, but then when they go for the interview, they somehow mess up the interview. And sometimes they've got the experience, they're quite good in the interview, but what lets them down is the way that they are dressed. So on today's show, we're going to be covering all angles to help you do your best and get that dream job that you've always wanted. My guests tonight are Carol Bassett, who's a careers advisor, and also Sophie Mitchell, who's an independent stylist and freelance PR. And they're both going to be speaking to us and sharing their wisdom with us to help us, or to help you get that job that you've always wanted. And later on as well, we're going to be speaking to Chris Brown with his self-development topic as well. So first of all, I'd like to introduce Carol and Sophie.
Hi, Chrissy.
Hello, ladies.
Hello.
You both look lovely.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to be helping our viewers tonight because I know a lot of people, like in the current, times, some are quite depressed, they're feeling quite unconfident about themselves. They may be applying for jobs but not getting anything because maybe the CV is not very good, or that it could be better. Others, they're kind of messing up in interviews and they're feeling quite low about themselves. So we really want to help the viewers tonight, hopefully with your expert advice from both sides, yeah?
Fantastic.
Okay, so let's start off with the CV, because obviously that's the first step. So once the person knows what the kind of job they want, they've written their CV or they've got it ready, what are some of the key mistakes maybe that people make in their CV, Carol?
Usually with the profile, it's very important for them to actually use positive words, and they also have to speak about the main key points, such as use the initiative, such as improvement, which is usually what they don't do. Most people usually tend to write a long profile, and they usually use information that are not actually necessary to be used.
Like what, for example?
I don't know, like I am...
All the usual stuff. I'm a highly skilled individual who's a very good team player and all that stuff that you hear everywhere.
I think it's most important, like you have to use like the word initiative or improvement, things like that. And when you write your CV, it's also important for you to use like the keywords, the key skills that will actually benefit the company that you're applying for, because when the employer, when he reads your CV, he wants to know more, as you mentioned, when you mention it. It's very important not to speak about key skills that aren't valuable.
Or aren't relevant for that company.
Exactly.
Because sometimes people just write one CV and they just use that one CV to apply for loads of different jobs, and sometimes it's not even relevant.
Exactly, because the thing is...
Your earring's falling out.
Thank you.
It's a pretty earring. I'm just going to hold it now until the break.
Thank you. Usually, when you apply for a job, you actually need to know what you're applying for. You need to look at... the main skills that they're actually looking for. Right. So therefore you need to compare your skills with those skills to see that if they're matching. And from there, when you create your CV, you actually know what you're speaking about, and you're actually going straight forward. You're not beating around the bush, You're very straightforward. So when the person looks at it, he knows that, okay, this person knows what she's talking about. And that calls the attention of the employer. Yeah.
I was speaking to a young girl on Saturday, actually. She was in tears. She came to me in tears, and like she was saying, I've been applying for so many jobs and I'm not getting anything, and I don't understand why. And I said, have you what's your CV like? She said, oh, it's good, I've checked it. I said, what about the spelling? And she said, oh, I've checked the spelling. I said, you've checked the spelling that you've like, and she said, yeah, I've checked the spelling. I said, can you email me your CV and let me have a look? So the first thing I noticed was spelling mistakes, because she's not from this country, and it was quite good, but she had sort of like, for example, start a sentence without a capital, forget a full stop, and it's some small things, but when employers are looking at things like that, it matters, especially when you're comparing to other people. Plus, she'd put where she's worked, but not what she did there and what the responsibilities were. So you can't check your own CV. You have to, it's important to get someone else to check it, right?
Indeed. It's very important. When you make your CV, you always have to have someone else looking at it. Probably someone who has experience in creating CVs, which I would recommend for them to go to a career advisor, or usually people actually go to the library, where you have people who are actually mainly used for that particular role, like helping people to create a CV.
In the library, really?
Yeah, usually in the library. They usually have people there that can help you.
All right, okay.
Another thing as well is when you write your CV, I wouldn't advise for someone just to speak about their responsibilities. It's also to speak about the achievement that you have conquered within your workplace throughout your experience. If you've worked as a sales advisor, like how many sales you've made, awards.
See, this is something I think sometimes, Sophie, maybe you can come in on this as well, because you actually work in PR as well, so you're all about promoting people and what they do and everything. I think over here, sometimes people are a bit kind of reluctant to promote themselves in a way, because they think, oh, maybe it's a bit too much. I can't really say all my achievements because it's going to look a bit big-headed. What do you think?
And I agree. And I think the key actually is not just to tell what you've done, but to show it and to show what the results are of action that you took and things that you achieved, because that's what is really important to a potential employer.
I mean, if you got a CV, for example, that where everyone had listed the person had listed all their achievements, would you think that's big-headed, or would you think actually this person's really...
No, I think, and I'm sure you'll agree, but I mean, that's the job of a CV, is to show you in your best possible light and to tell someone all of those things. If you don't tell someone, they will not know that you achieved these fantastic things and you grew sales by this amount and you were a great communicator.
So you don't have to wait for the interview stage for that, do you? Because what if you don't get into the interview stage? You might as well sell it all in the first instance, which is the CV.
I think usually people forget is that your CV is, you need to understand that you're not the only one applying for that particular job. You also have other competitors who are competing to get this job. So your CV is the first step. Because if the employer, if he's not happy with it, then you're not going to get an opportunity to get an interview. So that is actually your first shot for you to actually sell yourself, promote yourself. And actually by the employer reading your CV, they will actually tell if you're confident or if you're not. And that's usually the problem. Usually people use words that are very weak. They don't sell themselves quite good, in the sense where when the employer, the recruiter is reading it, he's like, oh, I want to know more about this person. I want to know what is the next step.
How much should you promote yourself then in the CV?
I wouldn't, I mean, I don't know if anyone would agree, but I wouldn't say don't overdo it. Don't overcome like too proud, like, you know. But I think minimum, like there needs to be a balance to it. There needs to be that.
Well, it needs to be truthful, doesn't it? It needs to be absolutely factual. But I think a really good tip, because many of us are quite modest and we're not comfortable shouting about ourselves, is actually to speak to people that you've worked with. So perhaps not your boss if they don't know that you're looking for another job, but a colleague, and ask them, say, what do you think I'm really good at in my job, and what things have I done well, and get other people's feedback. Go through, you know, if you've been in a job for a few years, you'll probably have a number of performance reviews or appraisals built up. Read through your performance reviews and see what positive things your boss said about you that you can then take and put into a CV.
Okay. All right, so say we get past the CV stage and we get an interview. Now this is the hurdle that sometimes people fall flat on their face at. So let's just see a quick example of a bad interview with our two like amateur actors we've got in the studio. Are you ready, guys? Go ahead.
So, Mr. Smith, why are you interested in this job?
To be honest, it was the first job that got back to me, and I heard you guys pay really well, so I was wondering... Oh, sorry, hold on 1 second. Hello? I'm at an interview. Can you call me back later, please? Seriously? Oh, sorry. Sorry, I'm going to call you back. Sorry about that. So do I get the job now? Okay,
so obviously... People do that sometimes, right? It's not like, I know it sounds really ridiculous, but, you know, not to be prepared, first of all, for that interview, you don't know anything about the company, probably just go for the first thing, just happy that you got an interview in the first place and not know anything. That's a really bad move, right?
That is already a doomed fail. You already know that you're not going to get it. Usually, again, everything is well showed. It's very important for the person. Usually when you have an interview, they will tell you way ahead, and you need to be ahead of your game. So you need to make research about the company. You need to study the company. I mean, I wouldn't advise people to be overstressed about it. And usually that's what the problem is as well. Usually people tend to be overstressed, like, oh, they don't get enough sleep, they get worried, and then when they get to the interview, they mess up everything. But I always think that it's important for you to study the company, make some notes, rehearse, get a friend to do like a role play, you know, so that your friend can actually pinpoint your mistakes and tell you, okay, don't do this, don't do that, switch off your phone. That's very, no, do not leave your phone open. Make sure it's switched off or silenced. Always make sure that you address in a presentable way. Which we'll be talking about later on. Exactly. As well. You, Sophie, you've got some models on, which I'm really looking forward to. Okay. Yeah, so I really think it's important for the person to know what they're talking about, and be confident. But like I keep saying, I've said a couple of times on this show, the interview isn't just for the interviewer to see if you're suitable, it's also for you to see if they're suitable for you as well. And sometimes I think people forget that and they get so nervous, but actually they are part of the interview to see if the company is right for them. So you need to have like questions to ask as well, to see if the actual company is good for you. It works both ways. It does, and usually what gets the attention of the person that's giving you the interview is always important for you to ask questions, because that way they will know that you're actually interested. They will see that you have enthusiasm about the company. But whereas if you're getting you're being asked question and then afterward you don't ask any question, that kind of looks a bit bad, because you need to ask them questions like, I don't know. Questions like not how much am I going to buy? Not about salaries. Don't do that, because you didn't get the offer. Maybe like options for development later on, trainings, like you know. What is probably the next stage? How further do you want to get with the work, the job within the company? Should people apply for anything when they're desperate? Because obviously this guy or the interviewee obviously just applied. What do you think, Sophie?
I don't think so. I think you're far off better targeting your job search and really looking for roles that you have an interest in, because you are going to be passionate about them and you're going to come across much more genuine and enthusiastic in your interview. You will interview better for jobs that you have a proper interest in. And you want to be targeting at jobs that are appropriate to your skill set and your career aspirations. Okay. Let's see how it should have gone.
So, Mr. Smith, give me a good reason why we should accept you for this vacancy.
Well, first of all, this is something that I've been working towards since I've been young. You know, I've studied this career path since I was in university, and this is something that I really want to pursue. And with my previous experiences as well as the qualifications that I have, I really believe that I can progress in this company as well as be an asset. And I know that with the skills that I have, I will help this company grow. So I believe that I will be the perfect candidate for this job.
Okay, thank you. Much better, right? It is. Absolutely. It is. But how much should you actually talk in an interview? Because I know sometimes people do tend to go on and on. I mean, this young man wasn't actually going on. I think he answered it quite well, but how much is too much? When you start speaking about inappropriate things like families, personal life, I think it's very important for the person to speak according to what they've been asked, and for them to actually think before they speak. Usually what will happen when they ask you a question, usually the person doesn't even think. They literally overspeak. They start babbling. They just start babbling. Sometimes I think it's better to say I don't know rather than just start talking and digging a big hole for yourself. If they really ask you a question, say, I'm sorry, I haven't. You try and think and then you start waffling, it's worse. But if you just say, look, I'm sorry, I have to think about that one. Or sometimes if you didn't overhear, you can always ask for them to repeat the question again, so that way you can answer the question correctly rather than pretending that you know the question when you actually know that you don't understand it or you don't know. So I think they're looking for people also who are honest. Like, as you said, if you don't know the question, then I don't know. Should you call up after an interview to see if you got the job? Or should you just leave it and be patient? What do you reckon? Well, I personally, as a publicist, I think follow-up is very important. But what you're not doing is calling to see if you got the job. What you're doing is either, and now really an email is thought to be the more appropriate means of communication. You're simply following up to say, it was
fantastic to meet you and to discuss the role. I'm very interested. I look forward to hearing back from you. And that's all it is. It's to say thank you, and to reassert the fact that you're very interested in the role.
That's a really good point.
It's polite, and it just shows you in your best light, really.
And you're not being too pushy as well.
No.
So, okay.
Yeah. Something else to mention, I've noticed the actor did really well, is body language is really important. So if you notice when he was doing his good interview and he was interested and enthusiastic, he sat up and he sat forward and he was engaged with the person that he was speaking to, and he was making good eye contact with her.
That's
really important.
Now, Sophie, you're going to stay with us because we're going to be talking about the clothing aspect, which is another, the next hurdle that sometimes they get so far, they do really well, but then the clothing is not right. So we're going to be speaking about that after the break. Carol, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And, you know, all the best with what you're doing. I'm sure you're helping many people get their CVs right.
Yeah.
Actually, maybe I should forward you the CV of this young lady to help her out.
Yes, please.
Yeah? All right, we'll do. All right, so we'll see you after this break. Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show, where we're speaking about landing your dream job. So you got your CV right, it's perfect, you've had it checked by someone, you've got all the essentials in there, you've now made it to the interview part. And this is where a lot of people mess up because of their appearance, the way they are dressed. So Sophie stayed with me from the first part, and we're going to be delving into this. So great to have you back on this part.
Thank you.
All right, so you have brought a few. Before we talk about all of this stuff, let's talk about why it's so important to get the image right.
Okay, well, appearance is not frivolous. Appearance when you're going, particularly for a job interview, is very important because your interview starts the second you walk through the door. Yeah. So before you've even started to talk about your skills and your experience, your potential employer is already forming opinions about you. And the reason they're doing that, the reason why your appearance is important to an employer is because you're someone that they're looking at who will be a representative of the company. Yeah. So the way that you are presenting yourself in your interview is a really good indication of how you might present yourself in an important client meeting or some other context in which you're representing the company. Yeah. So it actually really does matter. Okay,
now you brought up a brilliant point before about actually seeing the, the kind of like clothing culture of the company already. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, well, and this is quite crucial because every company is different. So it's really important to not only do your research for the actual spoken part of your interview, but do some research into the culture of the company. Some offices are very conservative, so particularly if you're interviewing for a job in banking or a solicitor's office, they still operate on a very conservative clothing appearance, and it's important that you're reflecting that when you turn up for your interview. Yeah. Some companies are a little bit more flexible. They're more business casual, particularly creative industries. People can show a bit more flair in their clothing. So do your research. If you don't know someone who works at the company you're interviewing for, see if you can speak to someone who works in a similar company. Right. You can even, if it's appropriate, go and sit outside the office during it. Seriously,
like, stalk the company.
I mean, don't be a stalker, but go and hang outside the office during a lunch hour and watch the employees coming and going and see what they are wearing.
So if I was an employer and I found that, I'd be quite impressed with that employee doing that. Or that potential
and now, I mean, the key is, you are not going to replicate exactly what clothing they're wearing, because in your interview you want to be the best possible version of yourself as an employee. Right. So if it's a business casual office where people can get away with wearing jeans, maybe they wear a nice shirt, jeans and a blazer, that's not what you wear in your interview. However, it gives you a really good indication. If everyone you see coming out of the door is wearing a suit, you better wear a suit to your interview.
Definitely. Okay, so we've got a couple of examples. You brought two models on, Julie and Christine.
Yes, absolutely. So first of all, if we're looking at a very conservative office environment, you do need a suit. There is no way of getting around it. And for men, I know Chris Brown is coming on later, so take a look at what he's wearing. He's looking very sharp. He's an excellent example.
Don't get a big head, Chris.
And for women, a skirt suit, or now a pantsuit is appropriate as well if you feel more comfortable in that. If you've got a slightly more business casual office, you still want to be very professional. And Christine here is an excellent example. You can wear a nice shift dress.
Christine's
and you,
on the right.
yes, sorry, Christine, smile and wave. A nice shift dress. You want to accent that with a tailored blazer, so it's still a very pulled together and professional look. She's wearing tights. Bare legs are a no-no, and a low heel. Yeah, I'm afraid so, because the thing is, many people in the office may be okay with bare legs, but you don't know who's going to be interviewing you. And if you're being interviewed by the most traditional conservative person in the office,
or someone that doesn't have very nice legs and she gets really jealous when she sees you.
Yeah, exactly. We don't want to go there. No. And you also, ladies, you want to think about a low heel as well.
Some ladies love the high heels.
I know they do, but in a job interview, you are going to be a little bit nervous. Play it safe. You don't want to risk tripping over, so keep it nice, classic, simple. Okay. We have our other model here, Julie. Now, Julie's outfit is fantastic.
She looks
brilliant.
Yeah,
I know, she does look brilliant. This is why she's a great example. So if Julie's going out with her girlfriends for a drink or a night on the town, she looks amazing. She's wearing a lovely dress.
Check out those heels, wow.
Check out those heels. Those heels could be hazardous in a job interview. I would not go there. But also something really to point out, the length of Julie's dress. Personally, I feel for a job interview it's a little short. I think you want to be hitting
Although, like,
length.
maybe people say it was okay because she's wearing thick tights.
Yeah.
But still it is quite short,
well,
isn't it?
The thing you want to think about is the sit-down test. So Julie's dress is okay now because she's standing up. Practice, particularly if you've got a skirt suit or you're wearing a dress, practice sitting down and seeing what happens to the length of your dress when you're sitting down, because you don't know if you're going to be underneath a table. You might be sitting in a couple of armchairs, and
you don't want to flash at the interview.
You don't want to flash. Right. You want to be a very modest version of yourself. You don't want any distractions.
Not at all. Okay. What about cleavage? Because I know sometimes women like to kind of show their cleavage and stuff, and not appropriate.
You might have the most beautiful cleavage in the world. The job interview is not the place to show it off.
Plain and simple, girls.
Keep it simple, keep it classy. And then the other thing you want to do, which is very important, is to finish your look. So you want to create a polished, finished look. And there's a number of ways you can do that. You can do it with a great handbag, a nice scarf, or you can do it with jewelry, which is some of the examples that I've brought with me here. And this is my line that I rep, which is why I've brought it, because I know and understand it.
And you love it.
And I love it. So for that conservative, classic office environment, you're wearing your pantsuit or your skirt suit. You want to keep it simple. Some pearl earrings, maybe a little diamond pendant or a cubic zirconia pendant, but something that is simple and classic. For a curvier lady, if a delicate piece of jewelry gets lost, you can go with something a little chunkier, as long as it's still a nice, neutral, classic
none of it's
tone.
over the top, is it? So.
No. Earrings, always keep them simple. You don't want anything busy around your face when you're interviewing with somebody.
Also, interview, get distracted with your jewelry rather than
absolutely, absolutely. Now, if you're wearing something like what Christine is wearing, if you've got the dressed up version of business casual, that's when things get really fun, because you can add a little bit of personality to your outfit with a statement piece. And I would say that if you're interviewing, particularly in the creative industry, if it's a design job or publishing, fashion, all of these industries, you absolutely can show a little bit of personality and have a pop of color with a statement piece. The important rule here is not to overdo it. So you want one statement piece. So Christine's got that beautiful red necklace, really accentuates the rest of her outfit. Julie, in her lovely going out on the town outfit, has just got a little bit too. She's got a, she's got the stacked armrest and the necklace as well. It's just a little bit too much. So pick one piece and make that your statement.
Okay, I love this one. It's gorgeous. Tell us a bit about what you do actually, because I know you're into the PR, but what's the other side of what you do as well?
I'm a publicist, and I've been a publicist for 12 years. So, and one of the things I do is work with clients on presentation and communication skills.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm also a stylist for Stella & Dot Jewelry, which is a boutique jewelry and accessories line. And I specialise in helping women find that perfect piece of jewelry for whatever the occasion is to complete your look.
That's lovely. So tell us a bit more about also like first impressions and obviously hygiene as well, because sometimes, I'm not being funny, but you really have to be prepared for your interview and maybe find your clothes the night before so that you're not rushing and you get sweaty and then you're late for this. It's awful.
Preparation is really important. People prep brilliantly for their interviews, but they forget about their appearance. And the best thing to do, if you know you've got an interview, start thinking already about what you're going to wear. Pull that suit out. Make sure it still fits. Because this is the thing, good fit. Good fit is the most important thing of all. So, you know, take it to a tailor. If you don't have a tailor near you, most dry cleaners do really good simple alteration service. So make sure your clothes fit well, and also hygiene.
You smell nice.
Sounds obvious, you know. Good hygiene.
And to eat on the morning of your interview or the day of your interview, because sometimes people are so nervous, I'm not going to eat anything, or they don't have time, but you need to, you know?
No, you need to have some food because that gives you energy and helps you be, you know, positive and interested in your interview. Yeah, and also the other thing to think about is perfume.
Right.
I am a believer that perfume is a no-no in an interview. Perfume and cologne, yes, because oh my God, people are allergic, and some people are quite sensitive to smells.
You so spray on for interviews.
Well,
maybe that's why I didn't do so well.
It's your show. You can do whatever you want. But yeah, perfume is a no-no as well.
Yeah, because some people do overdo it.
Yeah,
you can smell sort of halfway down the street. You can still smell the perfume.
Exactly. But I mean, and also, you know, the most important thing is make sure that the clothes that you're wearing make you feel good.
Yeah, yeah.
And that they're comfortable, you know,
definitely.
Because how you wear things, your posture and how you present yourself is as important as what you're wearing.
Okay, so thank you so much for all the advice. That was lovely. Thank you to our two gorgeous models over there. Both look fab. All right, so after the break as well, we're going to be joined by someone else who's going to be teaching us a thing or two about getting that dream job and keeping the dream job as well. And that's Chris Brown in his self-development clinic, which is right here on the Chrissy B Show. So join us after the break. Welcome back. Now, apparently I'm going to do some kind of school exercise because Chris has given me a pen here. Don't know what I'm going to be doing yet, but I suggest you get one at home as well, right, Chris?
Get one at home, yes.
So this is now the self-development clinic with Chris Brown.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
It's lovely. I love it.
Oh, yeah, lovely. Thank you. Nice at home. Come into my clinic.
Right, guys, you ready at home? What are we going to do then today?
Right, what we're going to talk about today, obviously we just spoke about interviews and jobs, and also we got to look at the whole of it, not just the job and the interview alone, the whole of our life, what it actually makes up, to make us, to actually bring out our potential, to hit those targets, go for those goals, and be pretty focused in what you're doing. But sometimes we got to look at the background as well. What about our own lives? What's actually happening in there? If you've got it at balance, you'll find that you potentially perform a lot better. Right. So what I'm going to do today is I've actually got a little draft here, which I want you to actually go through.
Okie dokie.
Right, and it's still the balance of life. And if we have a look at this circle that's going to come up at the moment, and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about, because our life is a bit like a cycle. Now, that circle there represents our life. Now, as you see, we've come through each area. We've got the health, we've got the work, we've got family, we've got leisure, and also a few others there, friends, rest, knowledge, and finance. Now, looking at that, if you was to operate on that circle and look at that as your life, let's say you've got health here, okay? Now, we're counting from the center. We're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Probably been about 10 if we did this, just doing this roughly and quickly. You'd actually shade in a part of this from the center there.
Right, should I do that now?
Right, so if you shade in a part of it, but this actually represents your life. So if I was saying, well, Chrissy, how much time do you spend concentrating on the health side of your life? So you'd shade in like 1 to 5
I exercised this morning. I woke up early and I did some gym and some exercise. So I'm really proud of myself. So
is
it's
that
quite
most
important.
of the week or? No?
You don't have to ask me that. Well, it's the start of a change.
Start of a change.
Yeah,
right,
so I would say,
so,
at the moment, if I'm honest, 3.
Right, and most people, when you think about it, they probably think, well, that's not that important right now because you'll be looking at your work life.
Yeah.
You'd be probably in work from about 7 till 8, well, not 7 to 8 in an hour, but talking about in the evening, and you wouldn't really have that time, naturally. Now, if we looked at the work side of our life, how many hours are you spending there each day?
Should I fill in all of it?
Yeah, fill in as we go along.
This.
Now, when we talk about that, we're actually saying, well, look, we've got to actually find a balance in what we actually do. Because we could spend all our time in work, we could spend all that time in work, and yet still not actually bring out your full potential. Just think about work, finance, and that's what's happening all the time. Now, if we looked at our family, how much time do you spend with our family? And that's really, really important. Now, family and friends, I'd say, is very crucial to actually supporting in what you do, your network around you. So if we was going to shade that in, it would actually show a bit of a balanced life in the time. And if we was going to go for, let's say, leisure as well. Let's look at leisure as well. And friends, right? And Chrissy's really on the go here. She's really getting in there. Right, leisure. So it reminds you back of school days, doesn't it? I can see the joy coming out there straight away. Right, okay. So let's just give a rough, and let's just turn around and have a look at that as what we'd do if it was just a temporary one bit. Actually, just do the knowledge bit as well, knowledge and finance.
Knowledge is in what?
Knowledge and finance. Right, how much time do you spend reading or, enhancing yourself in that sort of way?
Probably.
Right. I know the other day I was looking at myself on that and I was thinking, my gosh, I spend so much time finding out information, researching information all the time, especially with coaching as well with everybody. It's like, oh, right. And then the finances as well. How much do we actually concentrate on our financial side of our life when we look at that? Now, that is very important, and it's funny because it balances up with our work life. Right. Now, can we just show the camera that roughly? Right, this is just
I'm
a
really
rough
ashamed of this one. Hang on. Let me just.
Just worry about colouring in instead right now. Okay, right. Now, if we looked at that from there, if you can zoom in on that. Yes. Correct. Now, as you can see, Chrissy spends a lot of time on her work side of life, okay? Now, the smaller one there, if I can get it right, is that the leisure side, right? How much time we actually, was that the leisure? Yes.
Yeah.
Leisure. How much time we actually spend on leisure, and it gives us kind of overall about our life. Now, the truth about it, it's supposed to look more like the slide we're going to have coming up now, if we were to try and work it, because this shows there are areas in our life that we actually need to work at. Can I just show them the, no, it's all right, keep it on.
Yeah.
Right, so this is an area where Chrissy would have to actually think, well, look, I've got to actually balance this up as well.
Let's see my, there we go.
Yeah, because I'm spending too much time on this side, not enough here. All right, maybe I can balance this up as well. Maybe I can balance this up. Maybe I need to balance this up. So there's areas there that need to be worked on to actually give us that full round. Now, if we look at the slide now that we've got coming up. Right, okay. Now, there is another one like that, and it will show the full cycle. And what would happen if it was like that, if we go back to this one instead. Okay, can we go back to it? Right. This would probably go round in a full circle without those jarring out each other. So it gives us a rough of our life. Well, let's do one that we actually had that somebody actually did earlier on.
That's what it's supposed to look like. Let's hold that one up.
Right, let's hold this one up.
Yeah.
This is what it would look like. But it wouldn't be that perfect.
In an ideal world.
In an ideal world, it would look like this. But if I'm very realistic about it, it wouldn't actually look like this. It'd probably be a bit in, a bit out, but just on the line. So
that's what we should aim for.
Working towards at the end of the day. So overall, what we're saying is we've got to find a balance of life to get the full and bring out your full potential as well. We can't spend all our days in work. We can't spend all our days in, let's say, friends, leisure or not. We've got to find a balance and look at our lives as well. Are we whole?
And make some changes, right?
And make some changes.
To make a few little changes here. See, rest. Actually, that's quite good about the rest. Maybe this much.
Just colour it in.
There you go.
Well, it's funny because saying that there,
really
as we go again, Chrissy just said, "There, rest." You know, I'm with you on that as well.
It's
because
terrible,
you just keep
Look at it
going.
like that. You kind of think, oh my gosh, I really need to get like look at my priorities.
Well, I did this as well, and I found that knowledge bit really went out, the work really went out wide and wide. When it came to the rest, no. There comes a time where you do actually have to rest, pause, reflect on life, everything you learn. I actually would advise everybody and anybody that at the end of each day or the start of the day, take that time out to actually rest first, reflect. When you get up at the beginning of the day, project already what you actually want to do, what you want to target, how your day is going to be. At the end of the day, reflect on the day as well. What did I do right? What could I have done better? How did I handle things? Makes you a better person all round.
Definitely. Yeah. Chris, thank you so much. And
Pleasure.
you'll be back with us again next week.
Next week.
For, what's it called
Monday.
again? The
Self-Development Clinic. Yeah, welcome in.
There you go. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you, Chrissy.
Okay, so now we've got a bit of time to talk about something very, very special that I'm going to be involved in on Saturday. I'm just going to come over here and join my girlies, because with me here I have two lovely ladies from DKW, which is a show that's on Sundays at 4 p.m. This is a show that I used to be in. I really, really do miss it. And we have Deborah here, who's an angel.
Hiya.
So you normally go out on the streets and you interview people, right?
Yep.
And we have Mary Jo, who's one of the presenters.
Yes.
So what we're going to be involved in on Saturday, we're actually going to be doing a march against the elimination of violence against women. So it's called, what's it called? Break the Silence.
End the Violence.
End the Violence. And it's something that we all feel very passionate about. And I know, Deborah, you especially, because your mum has been through it. Can you tell us briefly about that?
Yeah, she suffered from domestic violence for 17 years. And me, myself, growing up, I saw her suffer through that. My dad, he used to beat her up, he used to verbally abuse her. So I'm going to be there on the day supporting my mum, because I'm totally against it. And as well for young youths who also go through it.
Okay, and Mary Jo, you've also quite recently found out something that happened in your own family that you weren't aware of for years, right?
Yeah, my baby sister, she was abused when she was 12 by a close member of the family. And I've only learned about it more or less 1 year ago. That's when she decided to come forward with it. And, you know...
Why did she wait so long to say, do you think?
She said that it was very hard to talk about it. And because it was someone very close to the family, she felt at the time that no one would believe her. And this person has actually died already, you know, so she thought that it was time for her to finally, you know, get free of all that things that were still in her life. The only person that knew about it was her husband, that she actually told him after they got married, because, you know, when she told me about it, first I couldn't believe it. Not that I didn't believe her, but it's shocking. It's shocking. It's hard to understand how could someone do that to a 12-year-old girl. How could someone do that to my sister? I think that was the hardest to understand. And for me, when she told me when I started thinking about it, you know, certain things start to click. The way she used to behave, you know, it was like, oh, that's why she used to behave like that. Oh, that's why she didn't like to open up. Oh, that's why she stopped liking to visit that person, you know, to go to their house. Things started fitting. And she actually decided to speak about it exactly as well because of an event very similar to the one that we are going to have, that she got involved with. And she decided, you know, I was a victim, and I want to, you know, show people that you don't have to be a victim.
It's so important that people do speak up about it. I know it's very hard for some women to do that, but there is help out there, and that's the reason why, you know, DKW have organised this event. I'm fully behind it as well. We're not only going to be doing a march, actually, we're also going to be having a big event. It's going to be televised as well. And there's going to be professionals there to help women, you know, that have been through. So whether they're still going through it and they need some advice on what, you know, what's best to do, or whether they've maybe been through something as a child, and men as well, because men do go through it as well. So everyone's invited. And maybe, you know, you have a family member or a friend that is going through it or has been through it. Do invite them to come along, because, you know, there's going to be no pressure for you to talk to anyone on the day. If you don't want to, it's fine. It's going to be very informative, right? And, you know, it's just there to help women and men to realise that there is, you know, life after abuse.
Yeah,
because we're going to have examples on the day as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, the person doesn't need to live in that situation for so many years, you know.
Yeah.
There is a way to say stop.
Yeah.
It's enough.
So it's going to be this Saturday at 1 o'clock. All the details are on the Chrissy B website, chrissybshow.tv. And you lovely ladies are obviously going to be there. You're going to be part of the march. I'm going to be part of the march. We're going to take lots of pictures. We really want to like spread the word about this because it's an issue that has to be addressed. We're really saying no to violence against women and men, because I know men go through it as well. Ladies, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Some more of your colleagues, some more DKW ladies are coming to join us on Wednesdays or to talk about it. So thank you so much, and I really do look forward to Saturday. Well, we have reached the end of our show today, but do join us again on Wednesday. We're going to be having another Chrissy B show, and I'd love for you to be my guest as well. So bye-bye for now.